Good evening. Welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas Council meeting for Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. Welcome, council team, the staff, guests, visitors online, watchers. Welcome. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I have a resolution that the April 8th, 2026 council meeting of the Municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 5:58 p.m. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. No closed session tonight, so confirmation of agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or amendments to tonight's agenda? Deputy Mayor St. Pierre.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I'd like to pull out of the consent agenda item L, key information report on the leaf and yard waste.
We'll move that to 11C, discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other amendments? Seeing none, I have a motion to resolve that the Council of the Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as amended. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none, adoption of minutes. Any errors, omissions to the regular meeting minutes and the public meeting from March 18th, 2026? Seeing none, I have a motion to resolve that the minutes be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Okay, two delegations tonight, and we're happy to welcome CEO Charlie Ballard of the Winchester District Memorial Hospital. Come forward, Charlie. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you for the opportunity. Glad to be here. I'm here initially to talk about the hospital, but I just want to take 1 minute to talk to you about Dundas Manor Long-Term Care Home. You folks have been great in supporting that project financially, politically, both here and at the county level. And just want to tell you, we're almost 85% completed. We're on budget. We're on schedule. We expect to move in late this year, probably October, November, and the project will be completed. So once again, thank you very much. Hopefully you're getting our updates, our periodic updates, and I just want to let you know that that project's been very successful, and no small thanks to your support.
Well, thank you. Glad to hear it's on budget and on time. Those are good news numbers.
Yes,
we like to hear for sure.
But as I said, I'm here to talk about the hospital. We're going through a strategic planning process that's almost completed. And part of that process has been me talking to representatives from stakeholder groups, from municipalities and that type of thing. And I was reminded that pre-pandemic, we'd come around to various municipal councils on a periodic basis and give you updates. And that hasn't been happening. And there's probably lots of information we'd like to share with you. So this is kind of the start of the recurrence of that. And I've got some slides, obviously, just to give you an update about the hospital, but I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments or suggestions about the hospital. So we'll get started. Next slide, please. So every organization, and certainly every hospital, has a mission, vision, and value statements. Our version of that is our commitment statement. It's our commitment to our patients, our community, our hospital, and everyone who works there. And you can read it pretty well. It reads like a fairly straightforward mission, vision, and value statement. And to sum it up, the two words at the bottom, which were kind of suggested by a very long-serving physician. And the very best of WDMH is compassionate excellence. We're always trying to get better, the excellence, and we do that with all the positive qualities of a small town community hospital and with lots of compassion. So hopefully if you have occasion to use the hospital, and not that you necessarily have to, but if you do, you see this as something that's prevalent throughout the hospital. So that's our kind of our North Star, what grounds us. Next slide, please. So every hospital in the province has a kind of a arm's length company that monitors its patient satisfaction, sends surveys to patients. And if you've been a patient there, maybe you've received one. And we're very, very proud of having among the top patient satisfaction in the province of all the hospitals that get surveyed. It doesn't mean we're anywhere close to 95% perfection. We can always do improve, but in the eyes of the people that we serve, we're doing a really good job. We have about 80,000 annual visits every year. About a sixth, probably 16%, come from South Dundas. So you're one of our major sources of patients. We think we do a good job, and it's always good to have kind of some type of external corroboration of that. Part of it is the patient satisfaction. We also have this national firm called Accreditation Canada that comes through every 4 years and assesses us against national standards for patient care and patient safety, and they just came last November. And for the umpteenth time, they've given us their top standard, their top award, which is exemplary standing. So again, we're proud of that. We are a very high quality organization. If something's supposed to be high, we do it high, and if something's supposed to be low, it ends up being low. High hand hygiene is very high, very few errors, and we are one of the only hospitals, and maybe the only hospital in Ontario, who has never had a COVID outbreak ever, either throughout the pandemic or ever since then. So we have a very strong infection control program, so you can be assured that if you or a loved one has to use the hospital, they'll be safe from an infection. We are a cancer center. We actually have the largest satellite cancer program in Ontario, which means we get lots of experience from, unfortunately, those who have cancer. And so if you come to us, you're getting the same level of care if you went anywhere else to a larger facility. And in addition to the kind of the grand accreditation, we have individual accreditations. For example, pharmacy and laboratory get accredited every year. We always do well on that. Next slide, please. So you're probably familiar with our major programs. We've got several different types of surgeries. We've got one of the top maternity units in the province. They don't do it anymore. They used to rank maternity programs, and there was times when we were #1 in the province among all the other programs. We have regional programs, as I also mentioned, for cancer care, for kidney dialysis, when someone's kidneys are failing and they have to come in literally 3 times a week to get their blood cleaned. We have inpatient beds, of course. We have emergency services and a lot of outpatient services that we're always adding to in terms of specialists that don't come and stay in Winchester, 5 days a week, but come occasionally, sometimes once a week, sometimes a couple times a month. Next slide, please. And then in terms of new programs, not too recently, if Dr. Paul were here, he would remind us that in our area, in the broader area, we have a higher than average rate of smoking. And unfortunately, we have a higher than average rate of lung disease, lung cancer, and respiratory conditions. So in the last few years, we've had pulmonary function testing. That's a program that you used to have to go into Ottawa for, test the strength of your lungs and your heart. Respiratory therapy, our professionals, we only brought on site and have them now since the pandemic. And then we're also part of the Ontario Lung Screening Program, where if a doctor suspects someone may be at risk of lung cancer, they can direct them to us, and we'll do a full investigation on that. Next slide, please. And then we've been adding specialists, dermatologists. It's probably been about 10 years since we've had a specialist in skin conditions, neurology, that's brain conditions, nephrology, that's specifically kidneys. And then we had and now have quite a high-profile ophthalmology program where a specialist typically comes in and does cataract surgery. For 2 years, that was involuntarily on hiatus because we had some retirements and we were unable to recruit an ophthalmologist. We've been successful recently, and that program started up in January. So we now have that specialty back on board. Next slide, please. So we don't just provide direct care. We have a teaching program, and you may be familiar with this. When a physician completes its 4 years of medical school, he or she then has to do a residency, which is kind of on-the-job training under supervision for a couple of years before they can be an independent physician. Those used to be programs only in the cities, in the Ottawa Hospital, CHEO, that type, and they'd come to a place like Winchester to get some exposure to rural medicine for a week. And that's not much time to get exposure to anything. They used to call it a week in the country. So about 12 years ago, we started our own family medicine residency program where a doctor comes for their entire 2 years of that postgraduate training. And we started off with 2, and this year actually won't have 9, we'll have 10. And every year, half of those come open, and so 4 to 5 positions come open. Every year, we have about 250 applicants from across Canada, so it's very much in high demand. It's a reflection of the breadth of teaching, the breadth of services we can offer them, and the quality of teaching by our doctors. And the really great thing is, about half of them we're able to recruit and stay in our area. So that's a real, we don't just have physician training, we have nursing training, we have actually students in all parts of the hospital. And as I said, roughly half stay with us, and that's good for them, and that's really good for us. Then we also have a research program, and we started off doing typical research studies, mental health, what's it like to be admitted and discharged in a smaller town hospital. And we've moved over to clinical studies in a variety of areas, in heart disease, lung disease, asthma, obesity, gastrointestinal things. And we are using, and we are testing for larger companies, experimental drugs. Now let me explain that for a second. When a company wants to bring a drug to market, they go through 3 phases. The first phase is to find out, does it cause harm? The second phase is they've kind of concluded it doesn't cause harm, but does it really help? And then the third phase is we pretty much think it helps, let's prove that, and let's figure out the dosage. So we're in the third phase. We get those third phase medications, and the real value to our area is, well, first of all, we are providing information to these drugs eventually coming out to market, but it provides access to these safe medications long before they're at market to people in our area. So it's a real boon to them, and it's something most small community areas don't have available to them. Next slide, please. We are part of, the last government called it a health hub. I'm not sure what you call it, but it's a campus of care. What we have, certainly in Winchester, we are, as you know, responsible for the hospital, as well as Dundas Manor Long-Term Care Home. And we have 2 other buildings on site, which has a whole multitude, you can see listed there, of a variety of community services, health, social services, as well as we're a big data center for the entire region. And pretty much in this area, most healthcare services and social services are on our campus. So we try and work together as possible and make it convenient for patients, for people coming, and not quite one-stop shopping, but at least we're nearby different services. Next slide, please. One of the trickiest questions I ever get is how many people work at the hospital? Well, if you're talking about, payroll staff, that's about 400. If you want to add on doctors who aren't exactly on payroll but get paid by the government, that's another 250. We have volunteers and then trainees or students. We used to have a couple of hundred volunteers until the pandemic, and then that really subsided and many didn't come back. So if any of you know of anyone who would like to volunteer at the hospital, an hour a week, a few hours a month, direct them to us. We'd love to talk to them and give them an opportunity. And we are fully staffed. I mean, for a staff that size, there is some turnover from time to time, but we don't have any vacancies that last very long. So we're very, very fortunate for everyone who comes to work at WDMH. Next slide, please. We are accountable. Up until the last few years, we've had a balanced budget for 15 years, and then we couldn't balance for the last few years, and that was quite a challenge for us. But just before Christmas, we got some additional funding from the government, and depending how the recent provincial budget plays out, that might provide us stability for the next 2 or 3 years. So we're very grateful for that. Alternate level of care patients, you may not be familiar with that term. These are patients that come into the hospital, get treated for whatever service or whatever condition they needed, and then can't really go home, don't thrive. And we have very few of those patients because we have great partnerships with retirement homes, home care, that type of thing, because a hospital is a really bad place to live if you don't have to be there. So we're proud of that. We're very efficient. We have the smallest administration of all small hospitals in Ontario. The government makes targets. We always meet them. As I said, we have very small staff turnover, and we've never had to use a staffing agency, so we're proud of that also. Next slide. Last slide. Among our challenges, I mentioned finances. It just depends how the provincial budget plays out, but we think that will provide us some stability. We're very fortunate. 7 or 8 years ago, if we did a profile of our staff, the big bulge would be towards the end of career people, and that has changed completely. The bulk of our staff now are young and recent graduates, or in the last 3 or 4 years. That's great in terms of boding well for the future, but there's less and less experience there until they gain that. For every hospital, buying new technology is always expensive. Not a lot of difference in the cost for a small hospital to a big hospital, so that tends to be quite a challenge. And as for any organization, cybersecurity is a challenge also. We're always under attack, and so far as security and defenses have held out. We are very fortunate that we're very highly regarded by our communities, by our patients. If there's one single consistent criticism, it's wait times in our emergency department. And we hear you. We're no worse and unfortunately no better than a typical emergency department. It's a very complex process. We continue to try and work and very marginally improve our wait times. In the last year, we've received additional funding for an extra doctor in the emergency department and some extra nursing. So we're working on it, and we understand how much of a frustration that is to our patients. And then the next big project we're working on, actually is a couple of years ago, it's not next, it's underway, is we've applied to the government for an MRI. It's a diagnostic imaging tool, pretty much the only one you'd expect in a community hospital that we don't have. And so you have to leave this area to get an MRI, go to Cornwall or Ottawa or maybe Brockville. So we're hoping that the government will find favor with us and give us some sort of approval in the next little while. We don't know when that is. So that's what's going on at WDMH, and happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you, CEO Boland. Appreciate hearing your comments. Councillor, Deputy Mayor, St-Pierre obviously just reviewed this at the county council meeting a meeting ago, so fresh in our minds. Comment is 80,000 patients, visitors a year. That's 220 a day. That's, whether it's through emergency or through other services in the hospital. That's a lot of people, you have to deal with in a day. So you can understand why wait times could be higher, lower, and all that. And it's all based on funding. Two things. One, if we were to get a delegation at AMO with the Minister of Health, other than just cash, what would be something we could advocate for on the hospital's behalf? Do you have something top of mind?
We want approval for MRI, and that's very much a political decision to do that, to say we're about to approve some hospital MRIs and specifically WDMHs. That would be our number one ask of the government right now.
So if I remember from our county council meeting, you just can't buy an MRI machine. You have to have approval from the provincial government.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So, yeah.
CEO Dahan, when delegations come out, Minister of Health put it on our list to advocate for that.
And happy to give you information, briefing notes, you name it, the whole 9 yards.
And we're happy to bring North Dundas along too. And we'll, CEO Mirner, will keep them involved on that one. I think that'd be a good advocacy for us for this summer at AMO. Questions, comments? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad. Thanks, Charlie, for the delegation. Just a quick question about the Dundas Manor. Whenever the new manor opens, how many beds is that going to be adding?
So right now we are caring for 72 people in the current Dundas Manor. We will open with 128 beds, so we'll be adding 56 people.
Oh, okay.
And those, I don't know if this is the next question, but the nature of long-term care admissions, those people won't be identified until a couple of weeks before we open. Right? So,
Interesting note, as I was chairman of the long-term care home, Glenstone Lodge in Cornwall, as part of my county council duties, why it's 128 is rules change at 130 beds. So, there's different rules and regulations on how many beds you have. So that's why it's 128 or not 131. Or it's like, how do you get to a number? And I think that's one of the reasons why 128. So that's a good increase we're seeing from what we have today. So that's good. Councillor Ward.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, I just wanted to say if you could give a kudos to your staff. I've been to your hospital a few times, and I'm sure everyone on this council has maybe unfortunately or fortunately enough been able to visit your facility, and your staff are exemplary. Like, you won the exemplary standing from the province, and it's no shock to me because I feel like when I go to Winchester Hospital, my family is well taken care of, and I never have anything bad to say. So,
well, thank
just
you.
a shout out to them.
I'll pass that. I've had a long career and I've worked in many different places, but boy, the staff at WDMH and Dundas Manor is beyond reproach compared to anywhere else I've ever worked. So we're very fortunate.
Awesome. Well, I consider it our hospital, South Dundas
Absolutely.
Hospital. My hospital. I've been there, grew up there. My kids were born there, and we're so lucky to have you leading it. Please pass on to your leadership team how much we appreciate your hard work.
Okay. And I'll just close by saying if you ever have a question, a comment, a suggestion, a complaint, feel free to contact me, email, phone. Happy to talk to you, happy to listen, and do whatever we can.
Excellent.
So thanks again for your support.
Thanks, EO. Okay. Moving on to 6B, Nation Valley ATV Club for South Dundas. So we have Dave Baker with us tonight. Come on up, Dave.
How's it going?
Good, we're good, Dave. Literally shifting gears from hospital
Yeah,
to...
I was going to say, my presentation will not be anywhere near as exciting as that one, but thanks a lot for having me, guys. So just about myself, I'm Dave Baker. I'm the vice president of Nation Valley ATV Club. I've been with the club since the start. I've been the president. I've been every single position that existed. I was actually here to see you guys back in 2005 when you first passed your ATV bylaw, except none of you guys were here. It was all different people, and it was in a different building. We were over in the courthouse still.
Sure, right.
So it's been a while since I've been here to talk to you guys. So just a little bit about the club. So obviously we're Nation Valley ATV Club. We're an incorporated body representing the interests of ATV enthusiasts in District 1. We are here in District 1. We have trails in South Dundas, North Stormont, and Ward 20 in the city of Ottawa. We're a member of the Ontario Federation of All-Terrain Vehicle Clubs, so similar to how the Snowmobile Club is a member of the provincial body, we're the same in that regard. We have 500, we fluctuate between 500 and 600 members because I think people switch every time we get a good winter. Everybody sells their four-wheeler and buys a snowmobile and vice versa, but our trails, we've been around for a while. Like I said, we were here in 2005 when South Dundas first passed their bylaw. We raise funds in the community and engage the community on a regular basis. I think we sent you guys our press release. We just raised $10,000 for the food bank in March, so we're very happy to help out the community. We're also a member of the South Dundas Chamber of Commerce. Next slide, please. So why I'm here is because I'm looking to get some changes to the ATV bylaw. So to start, so what other municipalities are doing, so back in 2021, in January, we had a bill that changed the rules for ATVing in Ontario. That's when they made ATVing the same as snowmobiling. And so they made it so that if there is no ATV bylaw, you're allowed to use all the roads in the municipality unless there's a bylaw that makes restrictions. Unfortunately, by the time the government made that change, every single municipality in Ontario had a bylaw that either said no or gave you the restrictions. So South Dundas does have a bylaw that restricts the usage of ATVing. So next slide. So as per South Dundas's current bylaw is we have a time restriction, 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. We're not allowed out past dark or super early in the morning. And we're not permitted anywhere south of the 401 except for, originally in 2005, it was Flag Road so that we could get to Jim's performance and so that he could test machines on Flag Road. That was the only restriction in 2005. So I see In 2020, you guys added 4 other roads. I'm not sure why, but those roads are the exceptions. Next slide, please. So, well, I guess I got to turn my page to keep up. So just recently, last year, in North Dundas, we had the municipality of North Dundas repeal their ATV bylaw. So basically, they struck it from the record, removed their bylaw, and made it so that it's just the same as everywhere else in Ontario, as per the regulation that changed in 2021. So with no bylaw, it means North Dundas, we have no restrictions. We're allowed to use all of the municipal roads. The same as the snowmobiles, tractors, cars, trucks, motorcycles, mopeds, and all the other motorized vehicles are allowed. No restrictions and no time restriction anymore. Next slide, please. So in South Dundas, for the most part, most of the businesses ATVers would like to get to are south of the 401 because that's where the larger villages of South Dundas are. So north of the 401, where we're currently allowed to get to, we're able to get to Sherry's Country Store in Williamsburg, Cedar Glen Golf Course, and the Princeton Store. But everything else is hiding south of the 401. So we would like to get access to food, fuel, accommodations, same as snowmobiles are able to do so, and anything else that's not an ATV. Next slide, please. So here, this is just an image showing that snowmobile trails, there's no restrictions on snowmobiling in South Dundas because there's no snowmobile bylaw to give them any restrictions. So as you can see on this map, snowmobiles are allowed to come south of the 401 and get to the Macintosh Inn, McDonald's, all the gas stations, the plaza, anywhere. There's no restrictions for snowmobiles. And then next slide, please. So as you can see here in South Dundas, there's a big gap for ATV trails in the area because unfortunately, if you can't get to fuel or somewhere to spend the night or eat food, unfortunately, most of our members head away from South Dundas because, you know, you can head to Spencerville and go and eat. You can head to Winchester to go and eat. You can basically any other direction than south, you're heading towards food, fuel, and restaurants. But in South Dundas, we're kind of limited because we can't get anywhere south of the 401. So next slide, please. Now, obviously, my gold star solution would be for South Dundas to repeal their bylaw, and that would make it the same as North Dundas. It would be permitted on all roads in the municipality, and there would be no time restriction anymore, which we like, obviously. That's the easiest one for us, but at the same time, I know sometimes that's a little alarming to go from having restrictions to no restrictions, but we promise we've been really good. It's been 20 years now, and none of you have ever called me to tell me that ATVers are the devil. So we've been really good for the last 20 years. So it's kind of just doing that was my presentation to North Dundas, where like, we've been good for 20 years now. Do you think we can have our restrictions removed kind of deal? So if that is too alarming, we're also open to having a discussion on what we could do that would be less wide open, but still get our residents and ATVers into the Macintosh Inn, into the gas stations, into the residents. I haven't met anybody else on the Chamber of Commerce that doesn't want our business. So we feel we're mature enough that the ATVers of the world can come south of the 401 and get some gas and food and not cause a ruckus. And that is basically my presentation, short and sweet to the point. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have any questions or comments.
No, it's great, and thanks for sharing your story, and thanks for coming forward. We talked at the chamber breakfast a month ago, and we're like, well, come to a council meeting and share a story with all the council so we can understand what's happening, because like you said, none of us were here when any of those decisions were made. Mr. Reddy, can you just go back 2 slides to the map? So just a couple questions for myself, just
absolutely.
to get some context in the... Right, the map there, yeah. So, no, right, that one. Thank you very much. So the trails, those trails that we see today, are they like easements, farmers, right-of-ways? Like, do you have agreements with property owners for these trails?
So our trail system, so this image shows 2 clubs for sure, because the club on the left would be Johnstown ATV Club.
Sure.
And then to the North Dundas area would be us. And so both Johnstown ATV Club, I happen to be on both board of directors, and the local snowmobile club. So I got my finger in all the pies. But yeah, for the most part, it's on road allowances, private property. In some cases, like when we get closer to the city of Ottawa, we're on municipal property that aren't roads, like they have access to a rail line and stuff. So it really comes into three categories. It's either private landowners, municipal road allowances. Usually the unopened road allowances, same as what the snowmobiles are using, is our preferred location, because that's the thing. ATVers don't want to be on the road. We're only on the road, same as snowmobiles. We just use the road to get to food, fuel, and accommodations. We want to be off the road in the forest, for lack of, but on the trail, not going down the road, but it's a means to an end, right? So
Yeah. So my question is, if we were thinking about it, is there opportunities to make your trail further south, right? Is there
absolutely.
owners that would be,
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2005, when our club first started, we asked every municipality to get, begged and pleaded. It took 3 years to get North Dundas on board. Same with South Dundas. Like we started petitioning municipalities in like 2003, and it was 2006 before North Dundas passed their bylaw. So we just keep kind of expanding as time and volunteers allow, and I'm getting a lot of pressure from our members to be like, hey, why can't we expand into South Dundas more? And I agree with them. I'd like to, you know what I mean? I would love to come and get a Big Mac. I know that's not the greatest thing in the world to come to expire for, but that's not something you can do in every municipality on your ATV, right? So
maybe it's a room at the Big Mac Inn, right?
Well, really, the Macintosh is really our primary goal, because one of the things we struggle both in North Dundas and South Dundas is accommodations. Like, especially when we host a big ride where we're getting 300 participants, people coming down from Toronto. We're filling up every bed and breakfast we can find, and we're trying to find them where you can ATV from. And unfortunately, we can't go to the Macintosh Inn that will offer us a discount as an ATVer to stay there, but we can't leave the parking lot from there. We got to load our machine onto the trailer and trailer to North Dundas, unload and go riding then, right? Where if we're on a snowmobile, we can unload at the Macintosh and we don't have to load it back up until the weekend's done.
Okay, very good. Other questions, comments? Yeah, Councilor Vino.
Yep, just one question, because I don't understand the OFATV. I'm the president of the Snowmobile Club here in Riverside, so I understand the OFSC quite well.
It's very similar, because the OFATV is mirrored after the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs.
Okay, so like the insurance structure and everything is
Pretty much 100% the same, other than the OFSC is much larger than us still, but otherwise it's the same type of scenario where you're a member of the federation. They take care of the insurance, they sell all the permits, it's all done online. We have the same board of directors, the district reps represent us at the provincial level, all the same stuff. Like literally just swap out ATV for snowmobile and it's pretty much exactly the same.
right on, and the licensing and the insurance on your personal
Yep.
bike and everything, it's all the same. Okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
everything's
All
the same. Yeah.
right, good.
Councilor Smith.
Yeah, through Mayor Broad. So, Dave, thanks for the presentation. This may be a question more directed towards CAO. Would we have the authority to allow, like on county roads, like for them to cross or travel on county roads? Could we do that? And if we were to change our
No.
bylaw, or it would just
No,
be
county
strictly
roads-
municipal loads?
I was gonna say, county roads, we have to go and ask for permission from the county, and they're on a road by road basis.
Okay.
But it's which came first, the chicken or the egg? I can't ask for the county to give me permission to use County Road 2 if where County Road leads to, we're not allowed to be in the municipality. So one of the caveats when we ask for roads from the county is it has to be leading from one trail to another, or leading from one area to get you to food or fuel kind of deal. There has to be a reason why you want to use that county road, but until I have permission to go where we want to go, I can't ask the county for permission.
Okay, yeah, so I was just curious, like, so
Yeah.
you're basically gonna have to do the same delegation at the county level as
Yeah,
well?
the county has made it very streamlined. They have an online form that we fill out at the club president or vice president. It just fills out a form that says, hey, we would like to use a piece of the county road from here to here, and that gets us from this trail to McDonald's so I can get a Big Mac.
Okay, and another question. So I know you listed all the different municipalities that are within your zone, and North Grenville was in there as
Yep.
well. So that's Kempville.
Yep.
Right. So, and Ward 20 of Ottawa, is that Osgood?
Yes.
Does Kempville and Osgood both allow ATVs on the village streets?
So North Grenville, their bylaw also has a time restriction. Theirs is 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., so it's very similar. And in North Grenville, we're allowed on all municipal roads, except for we're not supposed to come into built-up residential areas unless we're coming in for food, fuel, or accommodation. So our trail system that leads into Kempville, we can actually travel into where the Canadian Tire is and the McEwen's gas station because we're coming in for food and fuel. So we have two different routes to come into Kempville at large, and that gets everybody to like the 37 restaurants that are all in that subdivision, like in that giant tiger area and the McEwen's gas station. City of Ottawa is a road by road basis because they're a much more built up residential area. So we have, I want to say 100 kilometers, probably more like 75 kilometers of roads and road allowances in the city of Ottawa that we're able to use. So same idea. We're able to get into the Red Dot Cafe and the Fat Less's Chip Wagon and the gas station, the Drummond's gas station in Osgood.
Very good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Braun. Just further to that, does that work for you?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
It's one of those, like I said, the gold star to me is no restrictions, and then it makes it easier for us to figure out what routes we want to use kind of deal. But if we can't have a carte blanche, be able to use every road, then we work with the municipality or the city to figure out what's the best route to get people to where we want to go kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's where my mind was going, was I agree, let's get you to the restaurants and the businesses and in and out, where the heavy residential areas are, maybe not so much. So if we could work together and come up with a compromise of the best routing to get in and out, I've got no issue with that at all.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a two-edged sword because for us, the thing is, the residential areas, most of those people nowadays own ATVs and they want to be able to get from their home to the trail system without having to trailer out of town either. So it's kind of a catch-22.
No, and I totally agree, and it's the same with snowmobiling. I mean, I'm fortunate I can cross the street, get to a field, go to the trails. I'm fine with it. If I got to go get gas, I go around. But you're absolutely right. There are people with ATVs. There are people with snowmobiles that live in the heart of Morrisburg and Iroquois. They take a direct route to the gas station, and then they're on their trails. So again, I'm sure we can come up with a plan that
Absolutely. Like in Winchester, it works good. Like we've been doing it for a couple of years in North Dundas, right? And people get on their four-wheeler and just putt out of town and hit the trails. Like they're not using it to go to grandma's house for the most part. I'm sure there's a couple people that are, but you know what I mean? They're mostly getting out of town so they can go and ride, right?
Very good. Just direction to the clerk to bring, and the CEO to bring back a discussion item at a future meeting, and we can continue the conversation.
Yeah, and I only wanted to mention one other thing that you guys might not be aware of. So when you guys updated your bylaw in 2020, you are one out of two municipalities in all of Ontario that added extreme terrain and off-road motorcycles to your roads. So South Dundas allows Argos and dirt bikes on their roads, and the only other municipality in Ontario that does so is Bancroft. So to me, it was kind of strange. You guys still don't want us to come south of the 401, but you're one of two municipalities of all the municipalities in Ontario that said Argos and all extreme terrain vehicles are good to go so long as they say north of the 401. So it was kind of a weird when I saw the updated bylaw where it's like, didn't see that coming.
You can't take credit for that, can you?
No, I was going to say, we just pick on the previous councils. I wasn't part of it, so I'm okay.
Well, and it's funny, right? In 2005, the reason why we weren't allowed south of the 401 was because the council at that time was concerned that all of the residents on Lakeshore Drive would revolt because they would see ATVs where they're paying high property taxes due to being riverfront. And now the amusing thing is when you go down Lakeshore Drive, every other garage has an ATV or a side-by-side in it. So I'm like, I feel those people aren't going to be upset if they're able to legally drive their machine from their house on Lakeshore Drive. But that's for a discussion whenever we get further down the line, right?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Dave. Appreciate all your comments and answering our questions.
I think they call that banter.
I haven't had to use this yet. But
Yeah.
thank you very much. And,
All right. Thanks a lot for having me, and you guys can reach out to me anytime
will.
if you have any other questions or concerns.
Okay. Two excellent delegations. Appreciate both Charlie Ballard and Dave Baker tonight. Moving into action requests. So 7A, PE 2601, official plan amendment, number 32. Our planner, Stephanie Morin. Ms. Morin.
Good evening, Council. So the report before you this evening asks Council to support official plan amendment number 32 for the lands that are directly adjacent to the Iroquois urban settlement area boundary. The applicant, Grant and Alistair Properties, Inc., one of which is here this evening, is requesting a redesignation from rural district to residential district to support a future residential subdivision. The proposal envisions a mixed low-density residential development consisting of approximately 140 residential lots, including single detached and semi-detached dwellings for a total of 210 dwellings or so, along with internal roads and a new pumping station. A future plan of subdivision application would be required. The amendment aligns with provincial planning statement policies, including directing growth to settlement areas, discouraging efficient use of land and infrastructure, and supporting housing supply and diversity. It also conforms with the SD&G official plan, which permits residential designations within urban settlement areas. A corresponding zoning amendment to rezone the lands to residential second density or R2 has been submitted, and we recommend applying a holding provision to ensure that adequate water and wastewater servicing is in place before development proceeds. The amending bylaw would be brought to South Dundas Council if County Council passes the OPA. Agency comments have generally raised no objections, subject to further technical review at the subdivision stage, particularly with respect to stormwater management, servicing, rail setbacks, and traffic impacts. A public meeting was held March 18th, and a summary of those comments are included in the report. They primarily focus on traffic safety, construction impacts, drainage and servicing concerns, all of which will be addressed through detailed studies during the subdivision process. But staff, we conclude that the proposal represents good planning, is consistent with the provincial and county policies, and supports the municipality's long-term growth objectives.
Thanks, Ms. Morin. Questions, comments? So none, I have a motion. Let it resolve the Council Municipality of South Dundas supports the proposed official plan amendment for the property legally described as part lots 19 and 20, concession 1 in the geographically township of Matilda, now in the municipality of South Dundas, to designate the subject lands from rural district to residential district in order to accommodate a future residential plan of subdivision, recommends its approval by the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Okay, 7B CAO 2026-03 road allowance disposition, Millward Street in Mariatown, CO DeHaan.
Thank you, and I'll keep this one relatively brief. What we're proposing today is council declare surplus a portion of a right-of-way in Mariatown. Again, we've kind of the echoes of the Seaway project continue to reverberate around the council chamber, but this is another one of those where right-of-way existed to provide access to a lot, which, although if you look at the aerial photo provided in the map, kind of still shows some of that fabric. The reality is it's not a lot that actually requires access or is conveyable, and that was a little bit of the challenge with this one, because this has been a little bit of a long-standing request from adjacent landowners looking to go through this process and attempt to acquire this property. So I would say we've been looking at, like, is it appropriate to be able to sell it? So we were able to get a legal opinion that did deem that it was okay to sell it. We weren't creating some kind of orphan land that now has no access. So we're feeling very confident that it can proceed. What we're proposing in the resolution is, again, declaring it surplus, stopping up and closing the road allowance, and then also directing staff to obtain an appraisal. And that's similar to other I'm going to call it water access right-of-ways that the municipality has recently sold or is considering selling. So that's relatively consistent with the process we've taken in the past. Under paragraph 5 just describes the next steps with respect to this one, which is essentially to public the notice of proposed sale on the website, circulate to property owners within 60 meters of the property. We don't know if both property owners may be interested. Once we do have an understanding of who's interested in the property, going through with the rest of that process, and then coming back to council to finalize the sale once it gets completed. So with that, I'll turn it over to council for any questions.
Thank you, Senator Hahn. Questions, comments? Councillor Smith.
So through Mayor Broad, I just wanted to clarify. So on the map there where it shows the piece that's in purple, that or bluish purple, that's not the part. It's the part where it goes into the water, correct? I just wanted to, because I first looked at that and I'm like, oh, we can't sell that part. But, okay, so I just wanted to clarify that.
If I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, yeah, and it was just one of the property pin maps that we had, and that was what was highlighted. But you're 100% correct. It's not that piece. It's the piece opposite.
Very good. Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it be resolved that the Council of South Dundas declare the unused former Church Street road allowance pin 661290146 as surplus and direct staff to execute stop up and close bylaw, road allowance, and proceed with disposal of land as per policy 1-10, and that despite the exemption provided under policy 110, Council directs that the land appraised be obtained for the subject road allowance. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. 7C, PRF 2026-09, Happy Face Facility Usage Request, Director of Parks, Facilities, and Recreation, David Jansen.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you tonight is a little deja vu from last year in this report. So as you'll remember, the schools start to go underneath their renovation schedule here. So Happy Face did get notification in Nation View that there's going to be a renovation there again. Last year they utilized Matilda Hall during the renovation. So they reached out again. They attached the letter for council to review with a little update on their services and how things went last year. So they're looking to use Matilda Hall throughout the summer months to continue operations of their daycare service. Staff met with them. We reviewed the costs that Happy Face, operations typically occur versus, how our municipal rates were all set. So just a further reduction would put it right within their operations, even a little bit below, just to help them with their moving costs. So for that reason, staff are presenting the report tonight to move forward with a slightly reduced rate, but increasing our facility usage over the summer.
Obviously, the facility would be available outside of those hours for rent as normal for a reception or a hall rental.
So through you, Mayor Broad, to council, so even last year, I think we had a couple weekend events. So it affects a little bit of the Friday prep time, but they can still get in there at like 6 o'clock and start doing their prep on Friday nights.
Very good. Thank you. Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. So obviously, I'm in full support of this, but I just did want to mention that this is the second year that they've been asking us for help, and I'm still looking for Happy Face to come make adventure into South Dundas and the Iroquois area for daycare. So hopefully this partnership continues and they look to open some sort of facility. As Ms. Warren just presented, there's 210 houses potentially being developed. So really looking forward to, if we make this sacrifice, that hopefully they recognize that and invest in South Dundas even further.
Great comment. Okay. I have a motion. Let it resolve the Council of Municipality of South Dundas approves option 1 as outlines, authorizing the use of Matilda Hall by Happy Face Nursery School from June 29th through August 28th, 2026 at a further reduced rate of $50 per day. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Moving along to D, PRF 2026-10, Parks Recreation Facilities Budget Carryover and Additions. Director Jansen.
So thank you, Mayor. So in front of you tonight is a little bit of a housekeeping reallocation of some projects that were approved last year and then additional capital expenditures at the campground. So many of these projects we budgeted for last year, hoping to get them done by December 1st, and for various reasons, I'll add on, but crystal ball, I was hoping to get them all done by December 31st, didn't quite reach it on all of them. So there's 3 projects included in here. The Justice Building washroom, We had a couple contractor delays there. I was just there this morning. We're working on the final deficiency lists there. Originally budgeted at $275,000, came in under budget. So at the end of the year, any unspent capital falls into the Parks and Facilities Reserve. So this is just pulling it back out. At the Iroquois Plaza, there were some bollard covers that got back ordered for 12 weeks. They got back ordered for another couple of weeks. They recently just got installed there a couple weeks ago, and the contractor's actually coming next week to, hopefully if we get a good weather day, to finalize a couple things there, so a little bit of carryover there. The Youth Wellness Hub, we had a couple infamous doors, I think is what I've been referring to them as, that got back ordered a couple times on us. And that sort of affected our construction schedule there. But I am happy to say that Beyond 21's moved in. They've started their operations here in April. So they've had 2 weeks in there, and we're still working with the Youth Wellness Hub to do a little bit of outreach and get their opening day. So things are very exciting there. And then the last one in there is the Iroquois Campground. So obviously we were considering a lease agreement. As council heard on February 18th, we've sort of deferred that for now. But we have, CAO Dahan and I have been working with the group there, reprioritizing some of the projects and going from there. So this is pulling some money out of their reserves to get their capital projects moving forward this year.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a motion, let it resolve the council municipality approve the reserve transfer for the specific project as outlined report PRF 2026-10. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. 7E, PRF 2026-11, Truck 80 replacement options. Director Jansen.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor. So in front of you tonight is a report with regards to Truck 80, something Director Hyman and I have been working on here the last couple of weeks. So Truck 80 was in getting some repairs a little while ago, and we did find some structural failures in the frame, so kind of took it off the road on us. Truck 80 is typically our drainage truck. It's a 2013 with about 160,000 kilometers on it, so it's about a 13-year-old truck. As council, I know very well aware in our fleet plan, typically we try and keep trucks for about 6 years or 20,000 kilometers. So this one we were in a sort of a +1 schedule. Obviously, low kilometer truck, we were milking it along to try and help out our fleet reserve. And this is sort of what happens when we're kind of playing in the +1 game. So the last couple of weeks we've been doing our best, but I'll be honest, with the summer coming here, my crew's gearing up, and the trucks are going to be all on the road quite shortly here, so looking for a solution there. Obviously unbudgeted this year, so staff are proposing 2 different options for council here, looking for either a short-term solution of kind of a rent lease to sort of keep the cost as low as we can this year, and then planning and budgeting for it next year, or option 1 that we did propose is just to purchase it right now. Ultimately, I think staff and council would probably agree the long-term goal we'd still be end up buying a truck, whether we rent or leased one now or did one in the long term. Some of the takeaways that I'll just want to highlight here before I send it back to council is obviously there's some lessons to learn, and staff are very aware that there's a committee of the whole coming up with regards to fleet. So we do want to take some of the notes from, this is a good case study that we can use moving forward there. So kind of looking at, what is the 6 years, what is the 20 or 200,000 kilometers, and I think staff are excited to use this in that report and ultimately look at, our fleet reserve at that time. But I'm open to any questions the council has.
Thank you, Director. Questions, comments? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad. So I was looking at option number 3, and I just something, an idea came to my head there. So Dennis, I'm glad you're here. Would you have to, I know you use a pickup truck like year round right now. Is there any way that you and the drainage superintendent could share a truck? Like you could use it in the winter because he wouldn't have a need for it in the winter. And I know that you would because you're pulling, like you're doing water main breaks and pulling the hydrovac trailer and stuff like that. And then you could have the SUV in the summer, and then in the summer he could have it. Like you guys could just switch back and forth every spring and fall.
Through you, Mayor. I never really thought about it, but yeah, I mean it could work, but we are short on vehicles even in our department throughout the months right now. Like we had a water break there we just fixed today, and we were short a truck on that. But through what you're saying there, we could share a vehicle. I'm sure that would work, but I don't think it's going to solve the issue. I think we're going to be short a vehicle. I think the option Director Director Jansen gave, I think it's better off to purchase a truck at this time.
Yeah, and I think at this point, I mean, we've arranged for a committee of the whole meeting to, search out some of those comments or questions, commonalities of what the best scenarios may be, for sure. But good question. Councilor Vino?
Through your mayor. Yeah, so looking at the three options here, I mean, option 2 to me is off the table just because I'm having to return a leased pickup truck back in the same shape that you got it would be a little more difficult than an SUV, just the nature of the work that they do. An SUV, that kind of answers, my question was going to be to Director Villeneuve, like, does an SUV serve you as, because it would be for water, wastewater, but I know you use your truck for a lot of that work.
Yeah, so through your mayor, one time I did have the SUV, and I switched back to the truck just because we couldn't get tools in it, like keys at nighttime when I was coming out and stuff like that. That's why we went back to the truck, and then I left the SUV for the guys on call to go home with. The SUV does serve a purpose with my fleet, but only one SUV. If we had two, it wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, so if I can just continue, so that kind of answers that question. So it brings it down to option 1 for me. We just bite the bullet and replace this truck and go to, we'll do our committee of the whole. We'll look at everything in a grand scheme and we'll move on from there. But I don't think option 2 and 3 work in this case, personally. So I'm in favor of option 1.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments, questions? Councilor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. I just had a question through you to the CAO. How many vehicles does administration have? Not operations, so not roads, not water, wastewater, not parks and rec. How many sit in this parking lot here every day?
So we have 2 vehicles that are here. One is pretty much exclusively by law, building by law. The other one is, again, through building, but is shared by the rest of the staff as well. So I would say during the daytime, it's not uncommon to see both of those vehicles on the roadway for sure. At nighttime, they are here unless people are going to conferences or things where it's required overnight because they've been traveling. So they do sit overnight, but they're well used during the day.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. And I really am looking forward to the committee of the whole meeting because you kind of said something there of you were 1 truck short, and I don't know what that means by you were 1 truck short. I don't know how many trucks are showing up to a water main break. Don't know if somebody else can just jump in another truck because I'm assuming we're all insured by, an employee can drive any truck that's on our fleet. So I'm really going to be interested at the committee as a whole and just understand operations because I think that's the key component for us, or at least for me, is understanding operations and how that quantifies the number of vehicles that we do have, right? Because that's what we see is just a lot of trucks on the road, but if you don't know the operations, then you can't understand why we've got the fleet we have, right?
So through you, Mayor Broad, we're not technically short trucks as it is right now, but when the drainage truck that goes out, we are short. Okay. Like if we had the drainage truck, we wouldn't be short.
Okay, understood. You just said you had a water main break and you were short a truck, so that's why I just didn't understand that. So I just need to better understand it when it comes.
Okay, I have a motion. Let it resolve that Council Municipality of Dundas approve the replacement of truck 80, option 1. And the council approves the budget of $75,000 to be used from fleet reserve and the procurement written by policy 3-6 to an upset limit of $75,000. Moved by Councilor Ward, seconded by Councilor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Maybe I need a glass of wine. Okay, bylaws. 8A, 2026-18, advance votes prior to voting day and reduced hours of voting at Chartwell, Hartford. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you to the rest of council. So today I'm presenting a report that's recommending to set some dates, locations, and hours for advance voting for the 2026 municipal elections. So under the Municipal Elections Act, council is required to pass a bylaw to establish advanced voting opportunities before Election Day, which is going to be on Monday, October 26th. So this bylaw provides residents with 6 advanced voting opportunities across 5 locations. So Morrisburg, Williamsburg, Iroquois, and Princeton. And our advanced polls will be open from October 19th through to the 25th. And of course, a full day of voting on October 26th. So residents can vote at any location that's convenient for them. And there's no assigned polling locations, so, you know, if it's convenient for them to go to Iroquois, they go to Iroquois. If they want to go to Princeton, they can go to Princeton. And all advanced voting locations will have both in-person voting, so voting by ballot, and electronic voting. So we'll have iPads there for people to do their electronic if they want to do it that way. This bylaw also includes a special on-site voting session at Chartwell, the Hartford retirement residence on October 20th, where staff will actually go there and allow the residents to vote for that facility. So there's no additional financial implications to this. It's already captured in our budget, and the recommendation is to adopt this bylaw. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, apologize for not asking earlier, Clerk One. Just the difference between October 19th to the 22nd Municipal Center on the second floor versus on the third floor on the 24th, 25th. I'm just curious what room would be used on the second floor.
So it's going to be at our reception area. We're going to have an area for voting. So during our regular operations hour, our regular operating hours, 9 to 4:30, you'll be able to come to the second floor. We'll direct you to either tabulator or vote by tabulator, ballot, or electronic voting. And then the weekend dates, we're going to be up on the third floor. So we'll make sure that that's very clear for people as well.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, through Mayor Broad. So just a question for on election day, for on that Monday, is there, you mentioned the electronic voting as well, like on iPads. So is that going to be on election day? There would be an electronic device available at every location on the day, or is it just the days that are listed here?
So through you, Mayor Broad. So to be clear, on election day, there's no, the only poll that's open is at this office. So we're going to have a polling station upstairs. We'll be open all day from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m., which is what we're legislated to be open for. So we're going to have tabulators here and electronic voting methods. But sorry, what was the original question?
So what I was getting at is there going to be, or is there a way or a chance of getting an electronic device for somebody to show up at, say somebody shows up at Matilda Hall on election day to vote? Is
No.
that going to be possible?
Sorry, I understand your question now. Thank you. Through you, Mayor Broad. No, we're going to have one polling station open. With the budget that we have to have several, we'll have to have, we would have to designate returning officers, have staff there. And also there's an additional cost to getting all that data in one place. So we're having one polling station open on voting day, which is going to be across the hall here. Mm-hmm. The results will be read in this room. But that's why we're having in our advanced polls in Iroquois, Williamsburg, Princeton, and Williamsburg in the evenings, so that we are going to these different hamlets for them to have advanced voting opportunities in the hamlets they live or villages they live in.
Okay, because I know it's bound to happen that somebody's going to show up at, either the JW Mac or at Matilda Hall on election day thinking that they could vote there, and nobody's going to be there.
I think through you, Mayor Broad, we're going to do a really, really good job at advertising our locations. We're going to make it very clear for people that that voting, you can vote from home online on election day, but the in-person voting spot is at the municipal center.
All right. Yeah. Another question
Yeah,
as well.
go ahead, Councillor.
So just looking through the list here, there's many opportunities to vote here in Morrisburg in advanced polls. There's only one chance in Iroquois to vote in advanced poll. Is it possible, or on one of the weekend days there, on the Saturday or the Sunday, the 24th or 25th, to switch one of those to Iroquois? To give them more coverage, more open time.
I think it's something we could consider. I think if that's the direction of council, we would have to get this bylaw passed by May 1st, so I could bring it back with some other options on the 28th. If you're looking for an in-person on the weekend in Iroquois. Actually, CAO Dahan made a good point. If council wanted to make that change in this bylaw, we can do an amendment to the bylaw tonight so that we don't have to come back on the 28th. If that's,
Yeah, because there's 33 instances at Morrisburg, like all week, and then both days on the weekend.
So, although I think that's more complicated than just saying Iroquois, because of all the equipment that we have to set up and then move. So I think you should think it through. It's just not as easy as.
I would like to kind of have some time to maybe make sure we're capable to do that. We have time. We can bring it back on the 28th.
So I think then the request would be, Councillor Smith is looking for an additional time in Iroquois.
Just support for additional time in Iroquois, and then maybe we can figure it out after. Right. So just looking at it, just an idea is maybe if you did like the Thursday, if you switched Matilda Hall to the Thursday, and then you did Friday, Saturday in Iroquois, to keep the polling station, all these equipment's already gonna be there, I'm assuming that it's already set up. And then maybe you could do the Sunday, or just an idea.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, if it's okay, I'd like to take it back and work on a schedule that would accommodate that.
Yeah, okay.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. I tend to agree with what Councillor Smith is saying. We're a little, I think, deficient in time in Iroquois that we should increase at least by a day. And I'm looking at Mooresburg on October 19th to the 22nd, correct?
Correct.
And then if you look at Iroquois, it's on the 22nd. So there's almost like a little bit of an overlap that's occurring anyways. So I got to assume if that overlap is occurring, that there is equipment at both facilities for that overlap.
We would, through you, Mayor Broad, we would transport the equipment from.
Okay.
Mhm.
But your Iroquois says 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., but then you're starting on the 22nd, which is the overlap day, at 4 p.m.
Can I, a point of
So can you
clarification?
expand?
Yeah, no problem.
Clarify?
So,
Thank you.
October 9th, so the first line, October 19th to the 22nd, we've made our center a voting center because we have staff here. So that was kind of our rationale between keeping the municipal center open for advance voting. The JW McIntosh, we've set that date with them. We've coordinated that date with them. So that one might be a little bit harder to change, but perhaps not. So I think what I'm kind of hearing is the October 20, the Saturday and the Sunday, the weekend dates, one of those maybe should be in Iroquois. Got it. Mm-hmm. I think we can make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect.
Okay, so we will defer the motion until their next meeting. Okay. 8B, 2026-19, policy number 12-1, corporate resources for elections. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you. It is an election themed night for me. So under the Municipal Elections Act, municipalities are required to establish rules around the use of corporate resources, municipal resources during an election campaign before May 1st. So our existing policy dates back to 2018. And this review that we've done would bring it more up to date for our current methods. So the policy applies to council members, candidates, registered third-party advertisers, and municipal staff, and its core principle remains the same, but it's to ensure a level playing field for where no candidate gains an advantage over another through access to municipal resources. So some of the key updates that we've revised in this policy is some clear, plain language for our definitions, so the rules are easy to understand and apply. Confirmation that staff time is a municipal resource and cannot be used for campaigning. We updated our social media rules that reflects the platforms that we use today, and we expanded our branding restrictions covering all municipal identifiers, so clothing, material produced by the municipality. We've also added a provision in there that would allow a sitting councillor who is also a candidate to communicate with residents on a municipal matter. However, the clerk would need to approve it in writing, so that to ensure it has no campaign connection. So again, there's no financial implications for this policy. It will be published on our website and included in our candidates information package. So the recommendation before council today is to repeal the previous bylaw and adopt the new revised policy. And again, happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments? Councillor Wood?
I just wanted to ask a question through you, Mayor, just for clarity on my own part. So for an official who is running or not running, council members are not allowed to use their email to speak to constituents unless clearing it through you to ensure that there's no election related. So if, for example, I am a resident and I want to know why the grass wasn't cut in Earl Baker Park, and I email the mayor, and if the mayor is rerunning, can he respond to my request without passing it through you first?
So I think that this policy will kind of restricts council on what they can respond to. So the best practice is to come through me. However, if you're,
That's gonna be a nightmare.
yeah. But to make it clear, that's if they're emailing you about a municipal matter to your personal email, to your candidate email. So you can't, council can't use their corporate email. So let's just say a resident emails you on your candidate email and there's maybe some candidate information, but also a council-related matter. I think that's when you would come to me for that. But if it's your corporate email and it's corporate business that you need to perform as a councillor, then it's up to you to decide that. But to use caution. Yeah.
So through you, Mayor, can we just clarify that in the policy? Because it just kind of says email. And
Okay, sure.
Just so everyone is on the same page on that one. Like I don't see corporate unless I'm,
So I can identify it better.
just so it's clear, yeah.
Perfect. So through you, Mayor, if I make an amendment to that policy to include that language, would that be appropriate, or would you like me to bring it back?
No, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions, comments? So amended to include corporate email. That was clear. I have a resolution that the municipality of South Dundas enact the following bylaw number 2018-12 being a bylaw adopt policy number 12-1, use of corporate resources during elections hereby repealed, and the policy 12-1, use of corporate resources during attached here in Schedule A as forming part of is hereby adopted with the change. And that this bylaw now come in full force upon passage. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Continuing, Clerk LeBrun with 8C 2026-20 Restricted Act, Lame Duck Delegation of Authority. Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. So this report is recommending the adoption of a bylaw that delegates authority for restricted acts to the CAO in the event that council enters into lame duck period during the 2026 elections. So under the Municipal Act, a lame duck period is triggered when fewer than 3/4 of current council members are either seeking re-election or have been re-elected. So there are 2 windows in which this could apply. So between nomination day on August 21st and on election day. October 26th, and then again between Election Day and the start of a new council term, which is November 16th. So during a lame duck period, council's authority is restricted. It cannot appoint or remove officers, hire or dismiss employees, or approve expenditures or property disposals exceeding $50,000, unless those items were already included in the pre-nomination budget. The Municipal Act allows council to delegate that restricted authority to a person or body before nomination day, and that's what this bylaw will do. It would delegate authority to the CAO for the duration of any lame duck period, expiring, and this bylaw would expire upon inauguration of the new council on November 16th. Previous bylaw was passed in 2022, and we felt it was good practice to bring it back, fresh bylaw back for this term, and that's what we've done. So, any questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a motion, let it resolve the Council of Municipality of South Dundas to adopt bylaw 2026-20, being a bylaw delegate authority for restricted acts after nomination day to the Chief Administrative Officer. Be read first, second, and third time, passed, signed, sealed, in open council this 8th day of April 2026. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. (8D) 2026-21 funding agreement, Ministry of Veteran Affairs Commemorative Partnership Program. CEO Don.
Thank you. I'll get to present it, but I do not deserve any credit. The credit goes to Eric Duncan for the hard work put into the funding application with the Ministry of Veterans Affairs. But I guess a successful receipt of funding worth $25,000 to go towards the project that's proposed to be underway this year. Very excited to be part of this project, and as council may recall, we are also contributing $25,000 to the work. And yeah, so this is going to help to get the job done.
Very good. Yeah, Councillor Vino.
Just one point on that, because I do sit on that committee as well. We are fully funded. I think I might have mentioned that before. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to reiterate that with the help of Veterans Affairs and everybody else, this project is a full steam ahead.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. I think it also goes a little bit on notice of the work that Councillor Vino has worked on the Waterfront Committee and this project and other projects. So I just want to say thank you and congratulate you on this project as well.
Thank you, Deputy. Okay, motion. Let it resolve that the Council of Municipality South Dundas approve bylaw number 2026-21, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and clerk to enter in a municipal funding agreement with the Minister of Veteran Affairs for the Morrisburg Veterans Walkway Project. Be read and passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 8th day of April. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. E, 2026-22, appointing a screening and hearing officer for AMPS, Clerk LeBrun.
Thank you, Mayor Broad, and through you. So this bylaw appoints Treasurer Stewart and myself as screening officers for our AMPS bylaw. So this, our role would be to handle the first stage penalty reviews. And we're also looking to appoint Veronique Gosling as an independent hearing officer for final appeals. So Ms. Gosling is a former municipal bylaw enforcement officer, and now with the province, and is well qualified for this role. So we're looking for council's approval on this bylaw tonight.
Questions, comments? Seeing none. I have a motion, let it resolve the Council of Municipality of South Dundas adopt bylaw number 2026-22, being a bylaw to appoint Julie Stewart and Crystal LeBrun as the AMP screening officer and alternate Veronique Goslin as the hearing officer for the Municipality of South Dundas. Be read, signed, sealed, open council this 8th day of April 2026. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. 8F 2026-23 zoning bylaw amendment 10308 Chess Road. Planner for the SDG counties, Peter Young. Welcome, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Broad and Council, and good evening. So in front of you is an application for a property on Chess Road, about 1.9 acres. The application is to permit a contractor shop or yard on the property. we did have the public meeting on March 18th, and council's received a number of letters from neighbors along the street. As well, we've attached the applicant's rationale to the report for their perspective as well. I'll just bring council's attention to section 13 of the report. That's where I go into the policies 3.4.6. What are the kind of factors council can consider when reviewing zoning applications in the rural area? So contractors' yards, of course, are permitted in all our industrial zones as of right. And the rural zones are only allowed on a site-specific basis. I did attach a map after some of the comments from the last meeting showing various properties throughout the rural area that are permitted to have a contractor zone. But those are on an individual basis depending on the size of the property and factors such as distance from residential. So in the report, go through some of those factors. And in particular, this one, this property, one of the concerns is that under your zoning bylaw, it's contractors' yards are class 2 industrial use because there usually are a lot of outdoor processes and storage and things like dust and noise. And when we look at the provincial guidelines for class 2 industrial use, usually you want a minimum setback of 70 meters. In this case, the proposal is proposed to use the existing garage on site, which is about 4.5 meters from the property line. So within that kind of standard 70 meter influence area or 70 meter minimum separation distance, there are several residential uses that are nearby. So based on the application, reviewing the policies, feedback from everything you've heard both in writing and at the public meeting, we're recommending that council refuse the zoning amendment because it does not conform with the county official plan and the provincial planning statement. So if council passes this resolution, the recommendation is to refuse. So if council wishes to approve the bylaw, it will be to defeat the recommendation, and then the proposed bylaw is also attached. But the recommendation is to refuse the amendment, and I'll turn it back to the mayor for any questions.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Young. Appreciate the work on this and taking all the feedback and making a recommendation. Questions or comments from the council team? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Mayor Broad. I think it would be a service to us if you could walk us through, and I'm going to use the word if this is approved. What are the next steps in terms of building permit, site plan control, potentially putting a holding provision on the site itself until the applicant adheres to all of the conditions that we put forward? Can you just slowly walk us through that just so we fully understand what that really means?
Certainly, and through the mayor. So if council were to approve the bylaw, there's still a requirement for site plan control, which is submitting engineering drawings with the layout of the site, where the stormwater is going to go, if there's any berms or noise walls, things like that. At that point, the municipality could ask for studies on noise or impacts, depending on the concerns. Also, we'd be looking for building permits for that use. It was built, or at least the permit was for a residential garage, so it'd be for whatever the uses are. If there's repair, motor, maybe oil separators, and the different types of fire ratings for the walls, things like that. One other option council could do is to add a holding provision if there were certain conditions that the council wanted to put on the application. Then the property wouldn't be able to use as a contractor's yard until the bylaw came back to council to remove that holding provision. I mean, one of the challenges right now, it is still currently being used, so that would have to be discussed, but that would be the option. Is if council approved the bylaw, there would still be a requirement to do detailed engineering studies and try to mitigate some of the impacts as much as possible in terms of noise, dust, and especially, stormwater, as well as bring everything up to code.
Questions, comments? Councillor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. So just to clarify to the Deputy Mayor's question, just so I understand as well. So if a holding were to be applied, the contractor would no longer be able to use this site as current until all those studies are completed, and then they can move forward with using it as is today? With all the things.
Yeah, like currently it's not permitted to be
Correct.
used, of course, as a site, and in terms of, it's almost two separate discussions. In terms of council has the say on whether the use is permitted or not, but there's also by law enforcement and different things that can be done by administration. So if it were to pass, then we'd still have to discuss with the applicant on, okay, these are, the holding zone can't be lifted until you do this, this, and this. Right now in the proposed bylaw, there's no holding zone, so, but all those things like site plan and building permit would still be required. And if they aren't submitted, then the municipality could enforce and get orders to submit some of those things. If there was something in particular you wanted in a holding zone, we could also just give direction and bring back the bylaw later on to add some of those things. But again, site plan control would try to address a lot of those issues. But there's some can be addressed to the best we can given the size of the property and surrounding land uses.
I'll have a
Yes, of course,
follow-up.
Councillor.
So through you, Mayor, also back to you, Mr. Young, like in terms of operating hour conditions, that's not something normally that site plan control really speaks to, correct?
It can. There are some municipalities that put that in. Now, typically it's better enforced through like a noise bylaw or those type of things where there's hours of operation and up to a certain point. But usually those are, between 7 and 11, so they're fairly broad.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of municipal bylaws are written that once municipality or once the property owner has that zoning and they're allowed to operate in the property, they have a lot more freedom as long as they're staying within those hours. There are some examples where, as part of a settlement or an agreement with the owner, there were provisions added for hours of operations in site plan control agreements. So certainly we could look at that. I think your municipal act bylaws are those stronger tools than in a site plan agreement. It would be difficult to have one bylaw that applied to one contractor's yard, but all the other ones had different hours of operations.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, I have a motion, so I'll have a seconder, mover and a seconder, and then we'll have the vote. So the recommendation, which is based on the resolution that I'm going to read, is for the resolution that the municipality of South Dundas hereby refuse bylaw number 2026-23, made a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw 2010-48 with respect to lands legally described as plot plan 47, part lot 1, RP 8, R2275, part 1, former township of Matilda, now municipality of South Dundas. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. So in favor of refusing the bylaw. So 2, against the bylaw. 3, okay? So the bylaw is, resolution is defeated, which means then the zoning amendment then is passed.
Would you have to read it, still the bylaw amendment?
So we'll have to create a new resolution to pass the. With the holding provision?
And
Okay.
the parameters that we have.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So discussion on those parameters that we would like to see.
So I'll go first.
Sure.
So I can imagine that this isn't the result that maybe everyone wanted to hear, but I think that it's important to recognize that, I'm in the business anyways of community building, and I can understand that maybe this isn't exactly the preferred location for everyone, but I really do think that, working through the zoning to make sure that it's reflective of what best meets everyone's needs, not necessarily wants, to make sure everyone can coexist. So, looking at, issuing the site plan, making sure that there's some visual screening in my mind would be best. Maybe we look at, I know Mr. Young just said it's not a good preference, but looking at that noise bylaw and seeing what we can and can't restrict during operating hours. Some other things, obviously, like through site plan, like you already talked about, like stormwater management, making sure there's an oil grid separator, that's all enforced through building code anyways. So I would be in like, I guess, in agreeance to looking at that. And then obviously if those conditions can't be met, then this will come back to council and that might change. So that's how I'd like to, my personal preference.
Very good. Thomas Deputy?
No, thank you, Mayor Broad. I would support the recommendations by Councillor Ward. I will say publicly, looking at everybody, that, I recall we had a site along Lakeshore Drive not long ago where the business people weren't the greatest neighbors. And we've got new people in there in Tomlinson, and they've become really good neighbors. So I'm going to look at the two owners to really do your due diligence. Let's make sure you do everything you can and will do to support and to ensure that the residents are being less disrupted. And I think you guys can do that. I think, we all cherish our Saturday evenings and Sundays. I think, bylaw does not need to be going out and to your property and addressing true or not true gunshots all through the day, whatever. So I look to you guys to do what you need to do to improve and to work with the residents. And I'm sure you guys, everybody can do that. So, thank you.
Councillor Smith?
So I'm just curious to get going back to the conditions, is there a time frame going to be attached to that all conditions must be met by?
Peter Young?
Yes, so we could work with the administration just in terms of the timing of, bylaw enforcement, everything like that, and ultimately, if council does not lift the holding zone, the conditions aren't met, the use is not permitted on the property. So that in that way, the enforcement can continue and the use would, go through the process to stop.
Councillor Ward?
Oh, sorry, through you, Mayor, if I can too, make a suggestion to administration that like a year be applied. Like, I don't want this to drag out for any party. Like, I think to get everything you need to get done, like it's a small rural property, a year should be more than enough to get a site plan that meets everyone's needs, I would imagine. And I think anything more than that, I think is unfair to everyone involved, so.
So just for clarification, yeah, sorry.
I just want to say one thing for simplicity and clarity, that this zoning amendment change only works if they meet all of these provisions. So this hasn't officially gone through until those provisions are met. I just wanted to make that very clear for everybody.
So then for procedure, Kirk LeBrun, so this motion is defeated, so the recommendation by our planner is defeated. You will come back with a new motion with provisions at a future council meeting for us to pass, and with timelines attached based on our recommendations from tonight, and then any other requests that may come through the planner, through administration. Is that correct? That is the correct administration? Okay. So that being said, I appreciate both parties for the attendance at our public meeting and how everybody spoke, and appreciate everybody coming tonight to hear the conversation of the council team. So as of now, the zoning change will start to move forward, and there'll be a motion coming back at the future, what that looks like. So definitely echo what the deputy mayor said about neighbors all need to get along no matter what the zoning and what type of neighbor you are, we need to make sure we can get along. So we'll be expecting that for sure. Okay, thank you for your time. We'll move to boards and committees. 9B Waterfront Committee for Iroquois. Deputy Mayor? Sorry, Councilor, I didn't see it. I was reading my notes. Okay.
Let me continue. You want to take 2-minute break then?
Ms. Orende, could we pause the recording? Resuming the council meeting for Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. We're moving to item 9B, Iroquois Waterfront Committee update. Deputy Mayor St. Pierre.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Brown, through you. The committee did meet on March 11th. Although the weather's not really showing it, we did talk about spring and some of the plantings that we're hoping to see reestablished. We talked about doing some additional planting this year of hydrangeas and wildflower locations. One of the things that, and I'm gonna screw up the name, is one of the things they're thinking about doing is a Miyawaki method planting area. And when I look that up, basically what that is, it's an area where you really intensify and put different plantings in and trees so they grow really quick. A lot of times when you do forests, they're always kind of planted strategically, but there's separation. So it takes a lot longer for trees to grow, but if you really densify them, apparently they grow really quick. So they're looking at maybe doing just a small patch and then maybe having some other beautification things in front of it just to kind of complement it. The other thing that the committee would like to see, and just kind of putting it out there to anybody that's here or listening, they're looking to find any type of artifacts that would basically represent the seaway and the Lakers that have been going through the channels for, 60, 70 years. One of the things they thought about, if they could find different anchors from the different boats as they've kind of progressed through the years, and maybe if we could get 4 or 5 of them and then kind of place them along the waterfront to kind of have some artwork. So they're kind of looking at stuff like that and just kind of coming up with some novel ideas. Bird and bat boxes. We're still going to be going ahead with that. Hopefully we can see some bird boxes constructed over the next handful of weeks and get planted. The bat boxes, again, I'm not a fan of bats, so I think they could be somewhere else, but I'm get outvoted when it comes to that stuff. So no, it was a good meeting. We're getting more social media hits every day, which is good. And I know that we're doing a better job, I believe, of posting our meeting minutes, and we really appreciate that, Crystal Brunn and her team for doing that. So it was a good meeting. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Now, ACTAV meeting, we were at Roma. Is there an update to share? Mr. Rende?
Hi. So we discussed, sorry, wasn't prepared. We discussed the potential for a mural project this year. So staff will work on that to bring back to the committee. We move forward with the Awards of Excellence timeline, which will now be on September 18th instead of in October, just to allow more prep time and a little bit further away from elections. But other than that, it was just status quo, and those were the two things we worked on.
Thank you for the update. Councillor Ward, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Could I share about the Youth Advisory Committee?
Yes,
They
of
did
course.
have a little bit of an update.
Yes.
So they are going to be doing a youth wellness event at Seaway District High School again this year. So the committee's done a really great job, and actually kudos to our new programming coordinator. He's really grown that committee even more. So now, just for council's knowledge, the meetings are actually at Seaway District High School, so much more accessible to the students rather than trying to come after hours, after school, and try to get a ride. So much more accessible to them. So their numbers have really grown, and so have their interests. So the wellness fair will be on the 7th of May. Yes, it's a Thursday. I'm pretty sure.
May 7th?
The 7th of May, and it'll be in the morning. And I can send council, or have maybe Mr. Hege or Scott send that to council so that we have it in our calendars. Yeah, it's similar to last year's style. Mr. Mayor, you were there.
Yes.
And same kind of idea, all about youth wellness, different vendors. So really looking forward to that event. And if council can make it, we would appreciate that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there, and we could definitely be talking about the community youth wellness hub and Beyond 21, all those other things as well, right? So that's a avenue to let folks know about those things. Thank you, Councillor Ward. Consent agenda. 10A, information Morrisburg wastewater annual report. B, information Iroquois wastewater system annual report. C, Williamsburg wastewater system annual report. D, South Dundas drinking water annual report. E, information Town of Deep River off-road vehicle pilot project. F, information CN right away. G, resolution municipality of Blue Water request per provincial consultation on the English Public School Board governance. H, resolution Town of Seguin Shores Architecture Conservation Ontario proposal. I, resolution Town of Whitby request for conference review of municipal fiscal framework. J, resolution Town of Kent food insecurity emergency declaration. K, key information for 2025 council remuneration. I have a motion to resolve that all the items on the consent agenda be received and filed for information purposes. Moved by Councillor Smith, second by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Okay, discussion items. 11A, draft social media policy. CO Don.
Thank you. I guess what we're kind of chatting about this evening with this draft social media policy, it's really, I think, about kind of recognizing some of the challenges that council staff have to face with unpopular things with the public. Not only unpopular, but untruthful and whatnot. It's important, I think, to remember, and council would be aware of this, but remember that, particularly when we talk about online accounts, they're managed by real people. It's real staff behind there. They're dedicated. They're proud to serve the community. And online, it's sometimes not a fun place to be. There's some hostility, and by virtue of the staff's work, they have to see what's being put out there. They have to encounter the misinformation and the half-truths and the attacks. And those things, I guess, when we kind of look at the things that we have to deal with, they have real impacts on people and the morale and the well-being of people within the organization and as well as council. The other thing, too, with staff is we do have to maintain a level of accuracy and professionalism whenever we're putting things out into the world. And unfortunately, not all online voices are the same. It's not that we don't care and want to engage with some of those things that are being thrown at the municipality. It's just that we recognize that that back and forth engagement, rarely leads to resolving, and more often will lead to continued escalation and the fear of compromising the integrity of our communications. So really what we want is platforms where residents can engage with us in good faith and get good information. And what this policy, I think, really is about, it's a commitment to hold ourselves to a standard, and that's ourselves as staff, ourselves as council. And then essentially we're going to be asking the same of the people that engage with us to be held to that standard. So the policy itself, it's in draft format right now for council to consider. Some key elements is just who's administering the policy, which is the clerk with support from the CAO, and then making sure we have designated employees who have access to those official social media accounts. We're noting that they're only monitored during regular business hours. I know that we often go above and beyond that, particularly when we have to deal with misinformation and things that are happening after hours, but that requires a human connection there, and that's well above and beyond the expectations of what we should be doing as a municipality. We do want to identify the goals. So this policy identifies the goals of what we're trying to achieve through that social media work we're doing, the standards that we accept and not accept, and that's things like profanity, personal attacks, discriminatory content, threats, opposition or election-related promotion, and any content that could compromise public safety and privacy. And then it does note that we reserve the right to remove anything that's deemed inappropriate and mute, restrict, or block accounts that don't comply with the policy. We identify what can be posted through members of the municipal social media, and it sets out expectations really for staff as well as council members in how they engage online in their municipal capacity, including things around accuracy, confidentiality, and we've had, just for council's information, this policy we've chatted with all the staff within the organization. Next up, we'll be chatting with members of the fire service and reminding people that, even if it's after hours and you're doing stuff after hours, you're in municipal employee, and you don't want to be putting things out there that can harm you, because there is a lot of harm you professionally, because that does stay with you. And it's, I guess maybe as a personal observation, I'm raising two 15, soon to be 16-year-olds, and the constant reminder of how careful they have to be, because something they put in out into the world today can affect a professional opportunity for them 5-6 years down the road. So it's no different for staff, right? That it can affect things. So that's what the draft policy is. We really just wanted to solicit some feedback from council on the draft policy, with the intent, if there's no major changes, come back at our next meeting to formally pass it. And really for us too, it's timely, given we're coming into an election season, and we know that there's a lot of discourse around municipal services and things like that. So it's the right time to be considering a policy like this.
Yeah, thanks, CEO DeHaan. And I spent some of the time at the roads department when we started to share some of this policy, and the staff was thankful to be part of the conversation and understand do's and don'ts and what are things there. I think they're appreciative that we have a policy in place. One thing I was thinking, maybe it shouldn't be there, but even just a comment is like, the social media place isn't the place where we take feedback to act on, right? And maybe that could be clear too, is that, if someone thinks that, hey, on the municipality Dundas, page, if I post something, that's going to get picked up as a follow-up, whatever it may be. And really, that's not the case, right? We have our other feedback systems that we use for that. So maybe we could be clear with, maybe part of the policy and be clear on that. That's how we do that. So, Councillor Ward?
Thanks, Mayor. So I think that's a great point too. I think a lot of people think that if they comment on a Facebook post, that means that we right away get their service request, and that's not really how it works, and that's the purpose of social media. And I think it's important the public understands that social media is our way to try to connect and engage people, not necessarily take the feedback. And what I just wanted to say to staff too, like I'm really glad that you brought this forward as a municipality. I work for a municipality, so I can understand the harassment that sometimes comes with social media. And unfortunately, in an effort to connect with everyone, we've actually sort of disengaged each other because we're sharing opinions that maybe aren't reflective of the greater population. So just to staff, know that, as a counselor, fully support you and don't accept those comments at all, and think that it's really too bad that those get posted. And I firmly believe you are all doing a great job. So I hope you guys don't spend too much time looking at that, because it's not reflective, I think, of what the greater population actually thinks that you do every day. So I just wanted to share that.
Other comments or questions at this point? Okay, seeing none. Thanks, CEO DeHaan. Yeah. 11B, key information report, corporate clothing allowance policy. CEO DeHaan.
Thank you. This one, I think, a little bit more straightforward. We did include, so right now there are various departments within the municipality, just by virtue of the work they do out in the field, or kind of direct line with public, where we do have clothing that we provide to them, so it clearly identifies them as municipal employees, brands, all those things that are important, and kind of show that professional image. One of the items we talked about during budget deliberations is the actual administration staff. So even though we do have some frontline staff that deal with the public, but we do have a lot of professional staff within this organization that interact with the public and that attend various professional related activities. And those staff, we don't have something that really guides in terms of what clothing allowance should be for them, and strangely enough, same with council. So we did feel that there was an opportunity here to provide something that was reasonable, but also allows for some corporate branding. So the path we went down with this policy is actually a reimbursement method. So up to $100 per year for qualifying employees and council. And what we would do is you go out, you buy a piece of clothing that would be, we do, it does say in there, we're making sure that we're satisfied that it is something that would be appropriate for the workplace. So some of the rock and roll t-shirts may not qualify for a logo, but the process is buy that, bring in the receipt, provide the piece of clothing to us. We'll get it embroidered with the municipal logo on it, and then We reimburse the staff member, council member for their purchase up to $100. Doesn't carry over, so it's a use it or lose it type of scenario. The other thing we did include in the policy, we do have a very, very competitive rate to get a logo embroidered. So we actually said if there's other pieces of clothing, and I look at Peter, that shirt would look nice with a South Dundas logo. Although we wouldn't get reimbursed, we'd be happy to put some logos on some pieces of clothing that people are wearing to council meetings. So that's the way the policy reads. And we came to this approach. We did speak to staff, and this was something they preferred rather than we kind of go and buy a golf shirt that half the people don't really enjoy, or finding things that, it allows people to maintain their style and, pieces of clothing that kind of fit with their current wardrobe. So.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I think it's excellent. You can get a piece or two a year, and that's nice. So have it for that, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. And I just want to, from my perspective, to be clear, this isn't a public municipality thing. I mean, I work for a corporation, and they insist that it's branded. When we're out and about and it's during the work hours, we have to wear their brand. Because it's part of selling what they have. So a lot of private companies, a lot of private industries, that is a policy. And a funny story, I was at my first meeting, and an individual came in with a baseball hat on, and there was a joke, but he didn't wear the baseball hat again. It was a corporate hat. So branding is big, and I agree with it. I think if we're representing, then we should have South Dundas on our clothing.
Okay. Very good, Councilor Green.
Just one very small thing through you, Mayor. Might not even be worth adding to this, but it's just the way Section D reads. It says, you're encouraging, or we're encouraging, to add logos to your own purchased apparel. But it says onto clothing items up to 2 times per calendar year at no cost to the employee. So around at our place or whatever, we allow our branding to be applied to lots of stuff if the employee wants to pay for it, and we have lots of employees that will do that. So I'm sure this isn't a very contentious policy, so I'm probably not going to be really informed, but if you really drove into it, essentially I could only bring you 2 shirts even if I wanted to pay for it, and we wouldn't put the logo on. Fair. So just maybe some verbiage that allows the use of the South Dundas logo as long as it's approved clothing. Again, it can't be something obscene. But right now, it kind of reads like you can only do it twice. Whereas, like we like to, at our business, we're very big on branding too. And I mean, an employee could bring me 100 T-shirts, and if he's paying for the logo, we'll send him out. So that's all.
Very good. Okay, and C, key information report, leaf and yard waste days.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Something I just was going to put this out there, whether we agree, we disagree. That's fine. But when I noticed the dates on the leaf and waste depots, it's Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. And what was kind of brought to my attention last year in the fall was, are we really doing a service by offering waste leaf days on the same days that the landfill site is open? And the suggestion was that if maybe Saturdays we offer in the afternoon, or we just extend the landfill hours so people can go in the afternoon and dump their yard waste. And should we maybe be offering it on a Sunday and a Monday when the landfill is actually closed? So we're actually adding a service on off days. And I just, again, even for myself and for most, we work Monday to Fridays. In the spring and the fall, when do we do our yard work? Is typically Saturday mornings. Usually takes us most of the day. And then we're waiting a week after to be able to get rid of it. Well, by then, you might have cut your grass and done a bunch of other stuff during the week. So that was a suggestion. I thought I'd bring it forward to see if that would be approved, or we just leave it. That's, you can say one way or another, I'm okay. All in favor?
So, well, I guess 2 things. A question, this is the Kielma report. I don't know, do we have much printed material out yet of these dates? Not yet, so we could think about that for sure. Obviously, I think Director Hyman would have to think about staffing and how he would manage it, not in this moment, but come back maybe if that would be all right, if that makes sense.
I'm okay. Again, if that's a thumbs up, as you guys always say, that's fine. But
Councilor Vino?
Yeah, through your mayor, I see what you're saying, Deputy Mayor. I guess question to the director. These are for the days where we have one of our roll-off bins at a location in the villages, correct?
So through your Mayor Broad to Councilor Vino, that's exactly correct. So these are the Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays where the roll-off is either at Iroquois or it's in Morrisburg. So I will remind you, as you already know, that the landfill is open Tuesday to Friday, 8 to 1, and it's open 8 to 4 on Saturday. So there is that option of you could still go to Iroquois and you could still take it any day of the week. I appreciate the fact that people do work, and Saturday would be a great day. I know when I was little, I used to jump in the truck with my dad and say, come on, we're going on a dump run, and away we go type of thing. So I do appreciate that. On Sundays and Mondays, are those days that would replace something, or is that a day that we're adding on?
So, sorry, I wasn't quite, so to what I was gonna suggest is like, in practice, is that bin still there on Sunday?
So through your Mayor Broad, sometimes yes, and sometimes no, it's not. But that hasn't stopped people from still going to the facility over here in Allison and essentially dumping illegally, because it's not a dump site. It should be only used the days that are presented in the document. But that's not stopping anybody from going over there right now and still dumping material.
So my suggestion was going to be, can we not just have the bin there on the Saturday and the Sunday? Because I agree, like if I do my yard work, I'm probably taking it to get rid of it on the Sunday, like after church, of course. And that's, so I was just saying, like if it's going to probably be there anyways, or if the truck is coming to pick, like the days that it's not there on Sunday, presumably a truck has come to pick it up Saturday afternoon, gone and dumped it, return it empty and have it there the Sunday. That was going to be because at least then it's in the villages. Somebody doesn't have to run all the way back to landfill if they're from Riverside or something.
So through your Mayor Broad, so I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one. And if we were to leave that bin there, you don't know what it's going to be full of. So honesty with people there monitoring it keeps everything honest. The landfill site that is at the end of where you operate your business turned into a free-for-all. And now it's not there. So I only throw caution to the wind for that said reason. Things are controlled when people are there watching it. So I would try to stray away from just dumping it, because at the end of the day, we'll have no idea what's in it, and it goes against the program.
Yeah, and I think it needs to be like a transfer. It's a transfer station, right? So monitored, and we take it away, right? That's the idea. Why we don't have it the way it used to be.
So, okay, so it's saying that, and thank you for reminding me that the landfill is open until 4. What I would suggest is a modification that it's Sunday and Monday monitored, and that's the only 2 days.
So again, through you, Mayor Broad, so what days are you eliminating? If you're only doing Sunday and Monday, or is this extra days?
No, it's just 2 days. It would be a Sunday and a Monday. Not Wednesday or Friday, because the landfill is open. Anybody can go to the landfill and dump their yard waste. So it's on the days that the landfill is not open. That's the only 2 days we would offer that service up.
Okay. At the end of the day, you're decreasing a service, because now you're talking Mondays, people work on Mondays. So essentially it's only a Sunday that you're giving people the opportunity to get there. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, you're convinced me then. Let's do it Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday for the people who have the Mondays off. How about that? Is that a good compromise?
So then it's going to be a financial impact.
Usually you're good when we take away things, you know. But no, I'm okay with Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
It's a contentious item that now there's going to be a financial impact because of the overtime to bring staff in. That's where I'm getting at.
I know, but one day, an extra day. I mean, what are we talking? I mean, I think for the service, I'm fine. Again, I just brought it up as a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. If the Flavor Council is to move forward with it, we can get more information. If you want to leave it to the same, I'm okay with that as well.
Councilor Vino?
I have a question. So Saturday, we do the bin and we take it away, right? Saturday. What is there on Monday? Lots? trying to gauge how much stuff gets dropped off on the Sunday.
So through you, Mayor Broad, I can't honestly tell you what is there. I know right now there's a pile in Iroquois and there's a pile in Morrisburg, and we haven't even started the program yet. So that's kind of where we're.
So I could speak because I drive on that street every Sunday, and after my golf balls are over there from the tee off. Some Sundays there's one bag, and sometimes there's 20 bags there. Yeah, for sure. There people come and just leave it, thinking, oh, they'll add it to the bin next week when it comes back, or not knowing it wasn't Sunday, it was Saturday, or whatever.
We're never going to go away from that.
No, that's for sure. No, that's for sure. And like, you know, the time of year, like what the weather's going to be like, when the leaves fall, we are so hit and miss. We've talked about it many times. We really would need to get to a pickup strategy at some point, and maybe we can figure that out. Councillor Ward?
So through you, Mayor, I was just actually going in that direction. So I was wondering if maybe staff could bring back a report just to see what that cost impact is of Sunday, adding to the deputy mayor's point. And then also if at the same time we could have a discussion when that report comes back about the potential for curbside collection, what that looks like, so that that information is ready for the next council when they do budget. Like that report's already done and that information's already been shared.
Yeah, and that report also needs to include the current circular material scenario that affects different municipalities differently based on how their current garbage pickup is. So,
Correct.
yeah. So if you think about in North Dundas, their garbage truck is municipally owned, and they pick up the garbage and leaf and yard. In South Dundas, our same contractor picks up the circular materials at the same time as our garbage. So I'd like us to have a discussion on that contract and how that works with circular materials.
Because it's benefiting them. Yeah. So perhaps if we could can we do that? Can we give direction to come back on that?
See what, Don?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess what I'm thinking is that it's quite a broad discussion.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If we look ahead to some of the things we've got on our plates in the next couple weeks, I'm not quite confident, and I'm sorry to say this, that we can get you this in time to kind of have the discussion about the Saturday, Sunday financial implications. So if council's okay, I'd love to hive that off, have that quick discussion, but then get into a little bit more of a detailed report about the bigger picture stuff.
Deputy Mayor?
Okay, how about we suggest this? Why don't we leave it in for the dates for the spring, and maybe we can have this discussion, and then we can revisit it in the fall. Is that a good compromise? Thank you, Councillor Ward. Well, it was Councillor Ward who suggested it.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. Are there any notices of motion? Seeing none, a ratification bylaw. The bylaw number 2026-24 being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. And I have a resolution that the South Dundas Council adjourn to call the chair at 8:17 p.m. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. And with that, I will say goodnight from South Dundas.